So with positive discipline, of course, it's important to make sure you're handling issues with your child in a positive way. We all understand and we want to lean towards positive outcomes and positive interactions. But the great thing about positive discipline is it's something that has long-term success and it builds a healthy relationship so that issues that you have won't become recurring issues. And even dealing with them doesn't become a source of pain and frustration for both of you. Uh, Punishing, it's not a fun feeling. Reprimanding is not a fun feeling. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. And that's what positive discipline helps us with. Now, there's not going to be as much discipline necessary in early childhood from 0 to 3. Babies are pretty easy to get along with and handle, but these techniques and ideas are going to set the stage to make a whole childhood of positive discipline possible and easy to accomplish. And of course, we're talking 0 to 3, like these children will test you. They will, even though they're so tiny and cute, they will test you sometimes. So being able to understand and use positive discipline to fall back on during those difficult times is going to be really helpful for the relationship. And most importantly, it's going to be really helpful for the child. So let's talk about something that we will absolutely never do as nannies, especially as nannies working for Thriving by Design Nanny Agency. We will never, ever, ever, ever hit or spank a child. That's not in our job description. That's not our role. Now, there are arguments to be made for spanking when serious transgressions occur, but that's something to be done by a family member. It's really not the place of a caregiver, someone who's on staff to support and care for the child. So, with that being said, we just want it to be understood that our nannies and any nanny needs to never hit or spank a child. It's unproductive. It's counterproductive. It's harmful to the relationship. It's harmful to the emotional and social development of the child. And it doesn't solve the problems long term. Now, to the agenda of our positive discipline course. We're going to talk about several techniques that we can use and several key concepts. So the techniques are redirection, positive enforcement, time in, using single word reminders, and selective ignoring, which can be helpful to keep your own sanity. And it's basically just choosing your battles. So when it comes to redirection, this is simply you use an object to divert attention. You can change the topic. You can even change rooms. And sometimes that reset is enough for the young child to kind of switch their behaviors and get over whatever it was that was their issue. It's a really subtle and easy trick to do. It doesn't require a lot of communication or understanding on the baby or your behalf. It's just a simple redirection, and these can be quite effective. Next, we'll talk about positive reinforcements, saying thank you, praising the baby. Now, when you learn about positive discipline under the Adlerian model, it does talk about not using punishment or rewards as part of your discipline. But we do want to encourage these children to do good things. When they do something great, catch them doing something great and reward it, because humans are social creatures. And when we get rewarded and we get that wonderful attention and that love and we feel good about ourselves, we are going to do that same behavior again, and we're going to do it more often. And so that's what we want to do. We want to shape these children with our praise and our rewards. Another great way of disciplining a kid is what's called a time in. So instead of pulling them aside and setting them off to the side and not letting them have attention or things like this and removing them from the group and basically exiling them, instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take time to reconnect. We're going to sit down and we're going to have a calm moment with them. And we're just going to kind of both catch our breaths And then once the child is calm, go over the transgression and suggest better alternative behaviors and suggest why that's unacceptable and why you're not going to allow that. Um, that brings us to the single word reminders. Kids don't need complex lessons taught to them. They don't think like that. It does not work. So with your young ones, sometimes just a simple correction, like if, instead of telling your child, asking them again, did you go brush your teeth? I need you to go brush your teeth because having healthy teeth is going to be important so you have a pretty smile. Sometimes all you got to do is just say teeth, and that's what they need to hear. They have their own understanding, and it won't be an understanding that is in the complex phraseology of an adult. So sometimes just breaking it down to simple little commands, um, you know, can really help them out better than anything else. So it's another quick and easy tip. So the next one we talked about earlier, is a pretty great little positive discipline hack. It's selective ignoring. So when it's a minor problem, sometimes just turning a blind eye to that can really be the best course of action. And when they don't get the attention because they're misbehaving, perhaps for some particular purpose, when they don't get the attention for that particular negative behavior, it will extinct itself. If they're not getting what they want with the misbehavior will start to just pass away and go extinct from the child's repertoire of ways to get what they need. So a lot of times just ignoring them is the easiest, and it's a successful way of handling bad behaviors. So, like we said earlier, Adler was kind of the pioneer for the idea of positive discipline, and there's a lot of key reasons why we lean into positive discipline. Uh, you want to let the child maintain their dignity and help them feel a sense of connection, belonging, and significance. And a power dynamic that's centered around reprimands and punishments isn't going to do that. So we want to build them up. Also, it's important to realize that positive discipline is kind and firm at the same time. We are the structure. We are the foundation to their world. So we can't be flimsy and insecure. We need to be strong, but we can be strong, we can be firm and kind at the same time. Like we said, positive discipline is so great because it is effective over the long term. This is a great way to coach behaviors. And it teaches valuable social and life skills for good character, for fostering respect for themselves and for others. And it teaches problem solving and cooperation, which are all vital life skills. And the maybe the greatest thing about positive discipline is it allows the children to discover how capable they are, to build themselves up and their ability to correct themselves constructively. So, for those reasons, we really love it. So, for some key ideas, some key takeaways, and concepts to remember, here are some extra thoughts. All bad behavior is coping with some sort of issue. Like we said earlier, behavior is a means to gain a need or to satisfy a need. It might not be the best means or the right way, but that behavior is a way to get what they need. So understand that, understand and separate the behavior from the child because it's not personal. The behavior or your corrections. Remember, we're a unit. We're a paired bonded unit. There, you guys are an us now. So don't take it personal and don't punish in a personal way with a lot of emotion attached to it. A misbehaving child is a discouraged child. This is an important concept to remember. Remember, there's underlying emotions behind all of these behaviors. And the reason these behaviors are coming up is because they think it's the best way to get what they need. They're immature and undeveloped. It's not personal. So just keep all that stuff in mind. And of course, be kind and be firm. So now we're going to watch a video that kind of elaborates on these ideas a little bit. And we hope you enjoy this, and then we'll talk to you more at the next section.
I'm Dr. Ari Brown. Today, let's talk about discipline. What is it and why is it important? Discipline literally means to teach. From discipline, your child learns self-control, and with that comes self-confidence and self-esteem. Positive discipline means that you show respect, you listen, you reward good behavior, and you remind your child that you love her while you teach her right from wrong. This is in contrast to negative discipline, like spanking, which teaches children fear and leads to poor self-esteem. Many child-rearing issues fall into the discipline category. Whether it's teaching your child to share a toy, go to bed when he's supposed to, or eat something other than chicken nuggets, it's all about having a plan, setting limits, and then following through with it. Being a parent is not a popular job. You're not your child's buddy. And being an effective parent sometimes means that your child will not like the decisions or rules you make to guide her in the right direction or protect her. And that's okay. Your child will still love you and even thank you years later, okay, many years later, for helping her be the best person she can be. If you let your toddler call the shots, it will haunt you as your child gets older and the stakes are higher. This week, it's demanding candy at the grocery store checkout line. Later, it's going to a party with underage drinking or drug use. Keep that in mind. There are 8 key points to discipline. Be a good role model. Your kids are watching you, and your actions speak louder than words. Be consistent. Whatever rule or limit you set, you must stick to it. Don't back down to avoid conflict. Be calm and brief. The less you react, yell, or lecture, the better. Make your comments short and sweet. Be quick. Don't wait to discipline your child, even if you are out in public. He won't remember why he's being disciplined if you wait until later. Pick your battles. Decide which behaviors are serious enough to discipline, and decide which ones to just ignore. Be realistic. How long is your child really willing to endure running errands or you taking a phone call? If you have reasonable expectations, your child will act out less. Catch your child being good. Your child craves your attention. Kids prefer positive attention, like hugs and praise, but they'll also accept negative attention, like you screaming and yelling. So if you praise your child for cleaning up his toys, you'll see more of that behavior, and he won't have to resort to naughty behaviors to get you to notice him. Finally, remind your child that you love her. The behavior is bad, but never tell a child that she is bad. After you're done with your discipline moment, say something nice and give her a hug. It shows that you're ready to move on and not dwell on the issue. Just remember, your child's behavior won't change immediately. You are planting the seeds of discipline right now. Don't expect a tree to grow overnight.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Selena Benavides. Today I'm going to be talking about discipline. It's such a huge topic for parents, and it's so challenging. Research tells us that how we discipline in childhood can have lifelong implications. If we're overly strict, it can impact a child's self-esteem, promote fear, and actually lead to more aggressive behavior in the child. But if we're not strict enough, children don't learn limits, and we see more risky behavior in adolescence. It's a fine line balancing how to do this well. So before we talk about discipline, we first really need to understand why are children acting that way. And I wanted to share some research by Dreikers on the 4 goals of misbehavior. He noted that children are typically acting out for one of 4 reasons: attention, power, revenge, or feelings of inadequacy. One of the first reasons that children typically misbehave is for attention. This might be some loud, disruptive behavior or pestering. And children typically are acting this way because they think that the louder that I act, then I can get you to focus on me. But if we respond in frustration and tell them to stop, it usually only stops the behavior for the moment, and then they continue because it worked. They got you to pay attention. So instead, when a child is being loud or disruptive, if we ignore the behavior and wait until it's a calm moment, that is more effective. So we want to acknowledge when they're being calm or when they're talking more quietly. So for example, maybe you're on the phone and they're pulling your shirt and they're saying your name repeatedly and then telling you, look, look. But when you hear a pause in what they're saying and doing, then you want to say, thanks for being patient while I finish up on the phone. I'm almost done. And afterward, we really want to spend time talking about what occurred in a positive light and focusing on what they can do next time. So you might say, when I was getting dinner ready, thank you for using your indoor voice to ask for my help. I really appreciated you being so calm and patient while you waited for me. The second goal misbehavior is power. And this is when a child is acting angry or defiant. And they might be repeatedly telling you no, or making it very clear that they do not want to sit down at the table and eat, they want to play instead. In this situation, you don't want to engage in a power struggle, you don't want to argue, because it's not going to lead to a positive outcome. So when a child is trying to exert control of the situation, instead you want to be presenting choices. So if the struggle is getting them to sit down and eat, which is a common one in our household, you might say, you can play with your toys afterward, or you can pick a toy and bring it to the table with you. You can also give them some agency in selecting what they'll eat. Would you like to have a chicken quesadilla, or do you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And either way, you're presenting a choice, so it's giving them some control, but it's leading to the outcome that you want, which is getting them to sit down and eat. The third goal of misbehavior is revenge. And this might be when a child is acting rude or vindictive or destructive. And children are typically acting this way because they're hurt and they want to retaliate against others. So our first instinct in that moment might be to punish the behavior, thinking it will help correct. But instead what we should be doing is trying to reconnect with the child. So you might say, I can see that you're hurt right now and you're trying to hurt back. Do you want to talk about how you're feeling? And we also want to provide a logical consequence. And I have an upcoming video on this topic about why we shouldn't be punishing and instead we should be doing logical, natural consequences. But briefly, this might look like, say your child is upset because their brother accidentally tore the corner of the drawing, and then they take their brother's crayons that they were using and throw them on the floor. You would tell them, we don't throw crayons on the floor, so we need to pick them up, and we can try doing our art again later. But make sure you stay tuned for that video because I go into this topic in more detail. The final goal of misbehavior is feelings of inadequacy. And this is when a child is being withdrawn, passive, or overly critical of themselves. For example, we may see children who are no longer engaging in certain activities. So they may not want to be doing their homework, they suddenly no longer want to go outside, or they stop wanting to do their drawings and they used to really enjoy this, and they're voicing that they think they're no longer good enough. In this kind of situation, we want to focus on encouragement, but not praise, and I have a video on this topic in case you want to learn strategies on how to do so effectively. And we also want to set up the opportunity for them to have small successes along the way, so we're focusing on their progress and their efforts. I also want to say that as a parent, you're doing so many things at once, you're multitasking all day long, and there's going to be times that you don't respond well. And I want to remind you to have some self-compassion because we're not going to respond well every single time. And in these moments, we just need to remember to try to be thinking through, why is our child acting that way, and respond appropriately. And then it allows us to better parent to meet their needs and to have better outcomes. So thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.
So, like we said, positive discipline is really all about helping that child maintain their sense of dignity and how important dignity is in the overall health of a human being. It is crucial, foundational, fundamental. So, we want to find ways to essentially redirect the children and then to teach them how to redirect themselves. We all have these naughty impulses throughout the day. And, we have to redirect ourselves towards more constructive behaviors whenever those impulses come up. It's just part of being human. But that's where to have the discipline to be able to self-correct and stay on course. And that's not just when you're being naughty or thinking of doing destructive things, but also when you might be wanting to skip doing something that's going to be important for you to do. Just developing that positive discipline in yourself as you go throughout life is really important in meeting goals and just living a successful and happy life. So not just being able to redirect and self-correct when you have an impulse to do something that might be destructive, but also to stay on course when you're just not wanting to do the things that you need to do or you should do in order to accomplish some specific goal you've set. So positive discipline is really powerful, not just for children, but like we said, it's got long-term benefits. This is something that you'll be able to work with throughout their childhood, that they'll be able to take with them throughout their adult lives. So this is really critical stuff also. That wraps up this module. We hope you found it to be enjoyable. Just a shorter module though, but very important on its own. So we will have the quiz following this. And again, you've got to pass the quiz to get on to the next module. But of course, if you have any questions, do not hesitate. Reach out to us. We'll get back to you ASAP and help clear out what the confusion is. So hope you have a great day. Good luck on the quiz, and then we'll see you on the next module.